Welcome back for episode 2. And somehow you either accidentally did this or if it's intentional, we thank you. But either way, you're here.
From the Backwoods podcast, welcome to the show.
So I got Tex over here with me. And how you doing, Tex?
I'm doing good, D. How you doing?
Doing all right. Just I'm out here in Arizona. We're getting a little bit warmer weather, so it's not looking forward to the $300 and something AC bills that'll probably be coming here pretty soon. But other than that, things are going pretty well.
But you can cook outside though, right?
Yeah, definitely. We have to hit up the grill or something like that.
I'll talk about it's so hot you can just put a pan out there and cook.
Yeah, we actually did that back in grade school. We made a solar oven and we put a turkey in it.
And it actually got cooked all the way through?
Not quite. The
I'm
outside looked like it was pretty done.
But the inside was what we're worried about.
Yeah, the science teacher was the one that was doing the experiment, and they ended up finishing it in the oven because they're like, yeah, I'm not going to serve this to kids because they're like, oh, we want to eat it, So,
right, and then everybody's all
yeah,
sick.
we're not going to serve it to kids.
Yeah.
But you can cook other things on the sidewalk and stuff like that, like people have done if you want to waste food, which I wouldn't condone. But hey.
No, not with inflation right now, son.
What's that?
So now with inflation right now, you don't want to be wasting no food.
Yeah. No thanks. So anyway, so that's what's going on out here with your quick weather report. Today, though, we're going to be talking about gaming, video games. Being that we've been playing for a long time, we've definitely seen some changes. And we started out when gaming was still kind of a new young thing, like we used to be. So
I don't know who you're talking about. I'm still young, son.
Yes, you are.
I drink Red Bull, so I'm still young, okay?
As I was going to say, you're probably about 75% Red Bull at this point. Keeps you young, energized.
True.
So, I mean, again, we've been playing games for a long time. So where did you kind of start as far as like the first game that got you into gaming that you can remember?
Well, I remember this was probably back in 1987. I was 7 years old, and my grandma, she got me a Nintendo for Christmas, and I was so excited. And of course, original Super Mario Brothers. That's what it was. That's what got me hooked. The very first video game I ever played in my life, and I nonstop, just trying to beat all the levels. If I would have known all the tricks back in the day where I could warp all the way to level 8 and take out Bowser right off the bat, that would have been dope. But no, and also what's crazy back then is, how it's a side scroll. So, the screen catches up to you, you die. So that's what's so crazy about the games back then, but it was always Super Mario Brothers was the very first game that I ever played, and that got me hooked right off the bat. What about you, D?
It was kind of a weird combination of two different games, actually. The first one I can remember playing, I went to go visit family in Ohio, and my cousin had more money than we did, so they had a computer way back then, which was pretty rare back in the 80s. So I was about 4 years old, and they introduced me some games on the computer, and I was like, okay, this is fun. But as far as what I actually got and started playing was an Atari. And I remember having the E.T. game, the one that is kind of famous for being a huge bust in the video game world, because it came out. Just give people a quick history on it. So the E.T. game got released, to go along with the E.T. movie, and they actually had a glitch in the game, so the game was pretty useless. So back then you had to just buy the cartridge, so you had the game itself. You couldn't do updates and downloads and stuff like that. So anyway, I actually had that game, and I didn't know. I was really young at the time, so I had no clue that it was a broken game. So I just kept trying to play it, and I kept getting stuck. And anyway, that, and I would play like Indiana Jones that they had on the Atari. So Atari was actually my first console, and that's kind of what got me hooked into gaming.
Oh, okay.
that was the beginning of it. But of course, you and I both had a lot of different consoles over the years. So, what consoles have you had since the beginning?
Well, I just want to touch back on, but the game that got me the most hooked, besides Mario Brothers, because that was the only game that was out at the time, was Contra. And then after Contra, it was game over because then everybody was hooked, and everybody remembers the original Contra because that game was legit. But the consoles I've had, are we talking about my whole entire life?
Yeah, and real quick on Contra 2, do you remember the code at all?
Of course. Would you like me to tell you the code, son?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Show off that knowledge.
All right. Let's see. Up, down, left, right, BA, start.
Nice.
Is that right? I'm pretty sure that's right.
Wrong, we'll have. I think that's right, but I'm sure we're gonna have fact checkers either way.
That's right.
And when I go back and rewatch this, we'll see.
Exactly. But all right. So I had the original NES, which I still have. Then I had the Super NES. Then I had the Sega. Then the Sega CD. Then I had N64. Then I had PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Xbox, and then Xbox One, and then PlayStation 5, and then PS4, and then PS5, and then the Xbox X and the Xbox S. So the only thing I didn't have was Atari. Basically.
Yeah,
I have no idea. A lot of people probably don't even know what Sega CD is, but that was supposed to be the next gen that failed miserably after like 3 games.
Right. Yeah. No, I have no idea because I was so young where that Atari came from. I just know somehow my dad got one for me, and but yeah, after the Atari, it was definitely Nintendo, and I even had the Power Pad. I don't know if you remember that at all.
Did you have the glove?
It came with some sort of running game.
Did you have the glove? The Power Glove?
Power Glove. Actually, I got it, and then it was terrible. So I returned it, and I got a bunch of GI Joes and other stuff.
It was garbage.
But yeah, because I just remember sitting there trying to play Mike Tyson's Punch Out, and it had the weird controls where you would move your fingers if you're not familiar with the Power Glove. It's something that Nintendo released, and it was basically a game controller glove thing that goes on your hand, and you can just play different games. But yeah, it was something weird, like when you move your thumb, it would be B, and you move your index finger as A, or whatever. It just was terrible, and it didn't work right. So yeah, I had one, but I returned it and got some toys and stuff like that. But yeah, so went from Atari, Nintendo. After that, went the Sega Master System route. And after the Sega Master System, I had Genesis. And then I didn't do, see, that's the thing. I didn't do Super Nintendo because my best friend at the time had a Super Nintendo. So he had that covered. I had the Genesis covered. So we're like, all right, we're good. You come to my house and we play, and I'll go over to your house and play, whatever. So that was all covered. After that, PS1, PS2, Dreamcast. Try to go back to Sega. Dreamcast was actually pretty fun. That's the funny thing about that too is actually that sort of got my dad into video games for a little while because they had some racing games.
I forgot
so my
about
dad actually had to get the Dreamcast.
Yeah, I forgot about the Dreamcast.
Yeah. So had that. Let's see, Dreamcast, then Xbox 360. I didn't get the original Xbox, and then Xbox S is what I have now, and then also Nintendo Switch because I have kids. So
yeah, I have the Switch.
That's the only other thing that I've gotten from Nintendo.
And one thing I never understood is when they made the. I mean, I did have the Wii, but then when they made the HD, which I didn't understand that, and then they went to the Switch. But the Switch is all right. I like the Switch, but like I said, I didn't understand the whole concept of the HD that they made. I think they were just trying to finally make a system that could play high definition gaming, since all the other ones could already do it, and the Wii couldn't do it. But
Yeah, that's the weird
it
thing
just
about
didn't make any sense to me on the Nintendo that they didn't try going with that when they made the Wii.
yeah, Nintendo's always been behind when it comes to graphics and stuff like that's the weird thing about them. They have some interesting accessories that they try to do, but yeah, graphics is like, kids are playing, we don't care. As long as they're having fun, which is it's okay too, because their games typically are pretty fun. But yeah, I've kind of got stuck in the Microsoft Xbox world for the last few years or past decade, I guess. So, I appreciate PlayStation and the games, and I would like to have one of those consoles too. But since I don't have too much time for gaming anymore, I just stick with the Xbox.
And I like PlayStation. Just being honest, I like the controllers way better than the Xbox.
Please check out From Hoods to Backwoods podcast, full episodes on YouTube for bonus video content that you can see. Well, of course you can see it, because it's video. Just search for hashtag FHTB podcast and enjoy the extra content at no additional charge. That is, unless you want to hook us up with some money. Thanks.
I just Xbox controller. I had to get used to it first. That's just kind of how it was. Okay,
I'm just saying,
so
like the PS5 controller compared to the Xbox controller is night and day difference, because what they've done with the PS5 controller is amazing. If you ever get to play a PS5, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's just night and day difference compared to even the Xbox X controller.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think maybe at the most I've played a PS5, at the store or whatever for about 2 minutes at the very most. So yeah, I haven't really had a chance to check it out. Like I said, be open to having both, but just don't have the time. And
Same here.
of course,
It's
having
hard.
kids, there's other stuff you need to buy.
Exactly. Well, yeah, exactly.
All right. So, from that point on, do you have a favorite gaming character or anything like that, or honorable mentions too?
Well, yeah, my favorite gaming character would be probably from the God of War series, Kratos. Like I said, that's a Sony game for just the PlayStation, but ever since I've been playing God of War, that character is just amazing, and the story behind him and the origin story. It's just a character that you either like or you don't like, but I just thought it's a very very cool character that was made. And then also honorable mentions, I would have to go with like you said, I know he's more of a movie character than he is a video game character, but Friday the 13th, when that game came out on the PS4, was legit when you got to play as Jason and go around terrorizing everybody. It was legit. It was like the old school movie. And then also I would say Mortal Kombat. I would have to go with Scorpion, but honorable mention with all the new ones that have came out. Terminator. I'll go with Alien character, and then Freddy Krueger on Mortal Kombat. So yeah, they were probably my favorite characters.
All right, no, it's a solid lineup, and we found out on the second podcast you like to terrorize teenagers in at least video game form. So,
Well, hey, you gotta escape. It's fun. Like I said, you play Friday 13th, so you know what I'm talking about.
yeah. For those that haven't played or aren't really familiar with the movies, basically, you're in a campground wooded type area, and you have to try to escape from Jason, who's this crazy monster killer villain. And he can set traps for you and things like that. So it's pretty fun in the sense that you're trying to figure out ways to escape, and he's trying to just figure out ways to kill you, and that's pretty much all he cares about.
Yeah, that's why I'm wearing my Camp Crystal Lake t-shirt, son.
Nice. So for me, probably going way back to the Street Fighter days. Ryu. The funny thing about that, when I first started playing Street Fighter, though, Street Fighter 2, I should say, I used to play Blanca mostly. Just I don't know.
Oh
That's the first
yeah,
character that I kind of liked and all that. But as I got older and they did more with the Street Fighter characters and things like that, yeah, Ryu was the one I started using more. And just I thought I had a little bit more of an interesting story, even though he's a little whiny sometimes.
true,
But
true.
pretty good character. But yeah, honorable mentions like you mentioned too, Scorpion and Sub-Zero too. I like both of them, especially kind of the same thing. Their story is kind of fun, as far as interesting. And then Mega Man, I really liked the Mega Man games and getting all the different abilities and stuff like that. Well before Kirby or anything like that. So it was just kind of fun having those different things.
Right, right.
What would you say are some of the differences, or maybe the biggest difference between gaming back in the day and gaming now?
One big difference from back then and now is when you wanted to actually play video games with someone else, you would actually have to go to their house to play because there was no online capability back then. So you actually had to go to your friend's house to play multiplayer games. Now you can just turn on the internet and play with whoever's playing online, and that's the big difference. You actually had to drive to your friend's house and actually, hang out over there all day just to play games compared to now where you can just stay home and play all day online. That's the biggest difference I see now, besides, graphic upgrades and, stuff like that. But that's the biggest difference I see is like, back then, the most you could play at one time is just two people, you versus your friend. Now you can play, you versus 160 people online at one time. So that's the biggest difference I see from now and then.
Yeah, I do have a kind of a love-hate relationship with that too, because having kids and everything, we all can play one game at the same time. That's pretty fun, and it gets crazy. Everybody gets loud and excited about the game. But the other thing that's kind of weird to me now, especially if I go play the Nintendo Switch with the kids and we play the older games where you would actually lose, you know what I mean? Or you had to start over from the beginning because you ran out of lives or whatever the case is. Now it's like you can't really fail. Video games,
right.
you just keep playing, and I get it, but it's just kind of weird when I noticed that and looked at it, because I was playing some of the older games and my kids would get frustrated because restarted, or I don't want to play this because this is like too tough or too crazy. And it's like, oh yeah, it was how it was. But back then we would just spend time to keep playing it and try to get better at it. Kids don't have the patience for that anymore. They're just like, I'll go play another game now.
Yeah, they get really frustrated and then they just want to quit. If they die a lot now, I mean, that's just how it is. I agree with you. It's like they have ultimate lives, or they can save at any point. Back in the day, you couldn't save. Like you said, if you died, you're starting all the way back over. And that was very frustrating, especially when like old school NES game, Friday the 13th. You died in that game, you started all the way back over. And then that's when you wouldn't want to play no more, because you're like, I ain't going to redo all this again. But then you would, because then you get bored. So,
well, that's what I was gonna say. That's the other thing too. I mean, now you can just jump into different games, especially if you have a subscription. You can bounce around. Back in the day, you either had to, that's the other thing. You bought the game, you were stuck with that game. Your parents weren't about to hear you say, "Oh, I don't want to play that." They're like, "I just spent money on that game. You wanted it. You're gonna play it." So you had to play some games you didn't really want, or if later on when there was rentals for games, the same thing. You would rent one, maybe if you're lucky, a couple games, and if one of them was terrible, then that was it. You were kind of stuck with it. You already rented it. You couldn't just play something else.
Right.
Yeah. So that's another big difference. They just don't know how good they have it with all the being able to jump around different games and just, you know, being able, like you said, save multiple points and not have to start all over from the beginning.
Well, yeah, and like you said, like, you know, you pay for Xbox, you know, subscription, and you get all them games that you can just play that because they're all included with the subscription. So it's like you said, it ain't like it was back in the day. You get one game probably once every 6 months. If you're lucky, you got a new game. It wasn't like you can just, you know, get a new game whenever it came on the Xbox subscription. Boom, there you go. Yeah, that's the big difference.
Yeah, plus, you know, you had to actually go to the store, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it was way different having access to games. So that's where people are definitely lucky now, just being able to play just about any game you want at any time.
Yep.
So what types of games do you like? What do you usually play?
Well, I like to play mostly like horror suspense, you know, like scary games. I
Horror
also like,
suspense?
yeah.
Like horrors and suspense?
No, horror. And then like and then like fighting games. I'm not I like Call of Duty, but mostly zombies, not multiplayer shooting games, because you know, nowadays as you get older, your reflexes slow down and you get destroyed. Like, so mostly I just like to play just shooting, like mostly fighting games and you know, sports games every now and then. But the problem with the games now is like they want you to pay for all them loot boxes, which is so annoying. So like, you know, so it's hard to even play a game now without having to pay for all this extra stuff just to even play the game. But that's what I mostly like to play. What about you,
Yeah,
Deep?
same types of games enjoy. I do like to play a lot of different types of games. Sometimes I'll even play kind of puzzle games where you have to figure out how things work, and you know, and like they stick you in a room and you have to figure out how to get the door unlocked. You know, sometimes I'll do stuff like that. But yeah, usually first person shooters, sports games, adventure games, and then just your kind of your standard, again, especially with the kids, fighting games like Smash Brothers and that type of stuff, where you know your character versus the other ones. But yeah, I do like to switch it up. If there's something that's unique, I haven't seen a game like it before, I'll probably try it out. There's a game that my son found on accident, and he didn't really know what it was about, and it's definitely not really for kids. That I ended up playing. It's called Carry On. And it's weird because it's a really low bit graphic game, but it's kind of like a the Thing in a sense. You know, you're kind of like a monster form thing that goes around. You can take over people's bodies and attack them and stuff
So
like
wait, so
that.
you're
So
talking like the movie, The Thing?
it's kind of like that, but the game's called Carry On. It's not based on
No,
the
I
thing,
know,
because there was a
but when you said it's like The Thing, I don't know if everybody understands you're talking about like the movie, The Thing.
yeah, sorry, yeah, the movie with Kurt Russell way back in the day, the
Yeah.
one I like.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, the one back in like 1984, I think. But
Yeah,
it's a
sorry,
good
we're
one.
old and sometimes we forget that people don't remember
Yeah.
some of
When
the
you
old
said it's
stuff
The
we remember.
Thing, I was just trying to make sure that they might want to know what you're talking
Yeah,
about. The
no,
Thing, yeah.
you're definitely right. There's sure a lot of people are like, what thing?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it was kind of like that. So that that's another game that's a little unique. It's a little different from other stuff I played, but I liked it.
Nice, nice.
Oh, and then I had the also what was the other Civilization. So I do like some of those, and like Red Alert, some of those little nerdier. I've done my share of like Diablo back in the day, so some computer gaming. Not so much. Just now it's more console stuff. But yeah, back in the day I
Yeah.
did some computer gaming too.
I've always been console, never computers. I just don't like the keyboard and mouse. I'm not a fan of that. Like, I know some people are good at that, but not me. I'm all about just console all day, every day, son.
it's just hard sometimes on the computer side because having to do upgrades on a regular basis and all that. That's one of the main reasons I stopped doing it. Is like I don't want to have to keep upgrading my system on a regular basis. Because I will want to play the newer, more graphics intensive games.
Well, yeah, and then your laptop or your gaming computer is already out of date in 4 months.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
That's
no,
what
no
I'm saying.
thanks.
Like, that's what's so funny about it. That's why I stay with consoles. And again, I
I
don't
gotcha.
like the keyboard and mouse, son.
All right.
Just being honest, man. Like some people, well, I'm telling you, some people will agree. They're either keyboard and mouse or they're, just a console. It's one or the other, dude. Because I'm telling you, I'm controller all day, no keyboard and mouse.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. Because even Nintendo Switch having their kind of weird controllers that they have, I don't know. I have a real love-hate relationship with those two, especially certain games they like try to make you use those.
Yep.
It's like I'm not really trying to learn how to use a different type of controller.
No, I agree. I agree with you 100%.
All right. So, what is an old school game or few old school games that you wish would come back? Back in the day that just isn't around for anymore for any reason.
Well, first one is Contra. I wish that game would come back, and I wish they would remake it and bring it back on to the Nintendo or the any system, to be honest. But I know it's mostly from Nintendo from back in the day. But Contra would be dope. I'd also like to see Mike Tyson's Punch Out redone and come back out because that game was legit back in the day. And then Mega Man, like they haven't made a new Mega Man game in so long. It would be dope if they finally made a new Mega Man game.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. One game that I really liked way back in the day, and I replayed it, and it's pretty terrible. But if they did a new version of Altered Beast, I think that could be interesting because I thought the story wasn't bad; it was all right, and kind of the idea behind who wouldn't want to play as like a werewolf or something like that.
Right.
So I think the story was all right, but yeah, it's a pretty bad game now that I play it. So if they did a new version, I think that would be fun. Yeah, I definitely agree about Mega Man too. They're due for something on that front, but I don't know. I sort of wish they tried a few years back, but if they revived NBA Live, a new better version of that, because back in the day it was pretty fun.
You're talking about in the 90s, it was fun, and then it crashed, and like once 2K came out, they couldn't compete with 2K anymore.
Yeah, no, 2K definitely took over, but that's the thing. Is like it's just nice to see some competition. That way you don't have to just go with that. Like it's the same thing on the football side of things. Sorry, American football. For those of you not from around here, American football. There's Madden football games, and they have exclusive rights at EA to do those games, so they don't have any competition. So it's just kind of the same thing every year is what it feels like. And at least if there was a different company making it, you'd have an option for a different type of game, but still playing basketball or football.
Well, I mean, the one game that I did like that I had a little bit of competition with it was back in like 2003, I think, or 2004, NFL Blitz. That was a fun game. I wish they would remake that, or like bring that back with the new graphics and everything, because it was cool. I really did like that way better than Madden.
Yeah, those types of arcades are pretty fun because they had the NHL was the hits, I think, and then they of course NBA Jam is that type of cartoonish arcade type of game, and
he's on fire.
That's the other thing too. You just reminded me also, baseball games back in the day. I mean, they're so basic back then, and they're way more complex now. But those used to be pretty fun. it was kind of a mixed bag because they were easier, but at the same time, I don't know, it just seemed different because back then, hitting a home run and everything with the cheesy graphics, if you play like RBI or anything like that.
Oh yeah, it was real cheesy back then.
Yeah. So I mean, I haven't probably tried to play a baseball game in probably about 10 years at least, but I just remember trying to swing. I was like, man, there's so many mechanics now, so many options just to swing.
Right.
It's kind of crazy.
Well, remember when you're trying to play a baseball game on the Wii? You had to just
Yeah, or if you had to try to do boxing
Oh
on the
yeah, that
Wii,
was funny. Yeah,
that'll wear you out.
true. That was fun.
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about earlier. Nintendo, they're good at coming up with accessories and unique things and all that. It's just, I don't know, if they were a little bit better with their graphics and their technology, they'd be able to do a lot more. And I think they would appeal to not just kids as much.
True.
I mean, there's definitely adults that love Nintendo, and that's good and that's fine. And like I said, I have fun playing with my kids on the Switch. But if I only got one console, which most people only have one at a time, I wouldn't go with the Switch. Smash Brothers, honestly, is the number one reason why I bought that the Switch, because I really like Smash Brothers, and I figured my kids would, and fortunately, I was right. But yeah, it's
PlayStation 5 all
different.
day.
What's that?
PS5 all day, son. PS5 all day.
Like I said, I'm okay with either, but yeah, I'm okay with staying with the Xbox for now too. What about newer games? Any certain newer games you're into?
Well, the last game that I just started playing was Helldivers 2, and that game's pretty dope because we have to save all humanity. Okay, son. That's
Do
funny.
you have a choice or no? No.
But no, that's that because it's funny. The intro starts off like, have you ever seen Starship Troopers?
It's been a while. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, so it reminds me of that movie, playing Helldivers 2, and it was funny because my friends, they were my coworkers at work. They're all like, "We need your help to save all humanity." I'm like, "Well, obviously you don't need my help that bad. I haven't played in like 2 months." But it was funny though because they try pitching it to me all the time, like, "Get out of here!" It's just funny.
It'd be like, how much of humanity is left to save now if I haven't played in 2 months?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was asking. I was like, "Well, has the world been taken over yet?" They're like, "No." Well, then you don't need my help. Just
right. You're doing all right.
Exactly. I was like, "Y'all can handle it." It's funny. But that's the newest game I started playing was Helldivers 2. It's pretty fun.
Yeah,
what about you?
I haven't really played anything new. Most of my gaming now involves keeping the kids entertained. So, I mean, I've done some of the Call of Duty typical stuff over the last few years, but I haven't really played any of that. There's Don't Starve Together is another game that was kind of fun. Overcooked, yeah, again, mostly multiplayer games for me now, especially stuff I can do with the kids. But then Smash Brothers, that I have to keep going back to that because that's the number one game that my kids are playing. So I still have fun with that. I've liked that since the original version. But yeah, those are kind of the main games. Other than that, I don't really play anything that's for me in that sense. But as long as it's a multiplayer, then I'll probably end up playing it.
I mean, the last thing that I played before the Helldivers 2 was mostly zombies. Like when me and you would play, and what got me done with Call of Duty is how you can't bring your characters over to the new game. Like you spend all that money on characters that you buy, and then just because they come out of the new game, you can't bring the characters over. So I'm like, that frustrates me. So that's why I stopped playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, and you kind of bring up something else, and we mentioned it earlier with like loot boxes, but that is another big change in gaming. Back in the day when you bought the game, you had the game, and
yeah.
But now, it's great that there's additional content, but at the same time, it's like it's never ending. and I get it from a business perspective, but it's just I don't know. It feels like you're not really getting your full money's worth in that sense.
Exactly.
Especially you can't really buy just the base game anymore and enjoy it so much. They try to make it to where you need those add-ons, or it's either you play a million hours on the game to unlock stuff and make your character upgrade to where they're decent, or hey, spend another $20, we'll give you this stuff included.
Yeah, which is like, yeah, and that's what's so unfair about it, because you're playing against people that already have spent the money, and so they're already way, higher ranked than you are, and so you're just getting demolished when you're playing.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because you mentioned also about our reflexes as we get older. But I think a bigger part of it is the fact that we don't have the time to spend on the games like the kids, so they know all the tricks, but they're just so used to playing it, for however long, every day or whatever the case may be, however often they play, and we get to play once a week maybe for a few hours, just with the schedule and all that. It's like, oh yeah, how do I play this again? Oh yeah, now I remember how to play. I just died 5 times.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why you get frustrated and you're like, I'm done with this game. And then you just, whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. So it's not as much fun when you're just trying to figure it out. And by the time you figure it out, you have all those issues. So yeah, I definitely get that. What is a video game that you wish was made into a movie that hasn't been made into a movie yet?
Well, that is a great question. What game do I wish was made into a movie? I would probably have to say, oh, okay, let's go with Mega Man.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be pretty interesting, especially seeing all the different abilities and all that.
Exactly.
Would you want it live action or more cartoonish or what?
I would want basically I would want like a TV series that, like with it instead of like a movie. I think a TV series, live action TV series would be pretty good for it. Cause then it wouldn't have to rush, like the whole development of the character and everything. And that's what I would like to see. And, compared to like a movie, how a movie they try rushing in, you only got so much time and then that's it. So
right.
I think a live action TV series would be good.
I would like to see a Link and Zelda. I think that would be pretty good, like an adventure type of thing.
I agree.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of different stuff they can do with it, and yeah, I'd like it live action also. Yeah, TV show version would be great, but if they did a 3 trilogy, trilogy of movie series of it, I think that would be good too.
True.
All right. What about on the flip side of things? What games do you not like to play, or what are games that you really didn't like when you played them?
Well, most of the games that I don't like to play is like Diablo. Don't like that game. Don't like wizardry type games or anything like that. I just mostly like just that's the games I really don't like to play is more like strategy games. Don't like them. Yeah, I just don't like them. Like Aliens Fireteam. Didn't like it because it's more strategy. Like I just I just don't like strategy games. Just being honest.
Yeah, for me, yeah, back in the day, I used to like racing games and things like that, and I don't know. Now I don't really like them so much. I mean, Mario Kart and things like that are fine, but because it's kind of cartoony, I like the type where you can kind of go off wherever and drive. That's all right with me. It's kind of fun. Like there's a like the Lego ones and stuff like that. You can kind of, again, still kind of cartoony, but the ones that are supposed to be simulation, more realistic, I don't know. They're not as fun to me anymore. Probably the other thing too, lack of a steering wheel.
Right?
If
No,
you
I
have
mean, I can agree with that.
yeah, like back in the day, my dad had the full steering wheel setup for the Dreamcast, and that was actually pretty fun too. But yeah, um, yeah, I don't know. That's probably about the only. I don't. Of course, I wouldn't like some sports games like golf. That would be just boring to me. I remember trying to play it back in the day. It's like I don't even like watching golf myself, just because growing up, my grandmother and my aunt would watch it, and I would be forced to watch it back then, because that's another thing that's really changed is, you usually had one TV, maybe two TVs in the house back in the day.
True. Now you
And
got one in every room.
yeah, especially if you're at like a grandparent's house though, then
Oh yeah.
yeah, they probably only have one TV.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so you had to watch whatever they wanted to watch. That's just how it was back then, and is either that or be bored or go play outside or play in the other room. So golf is just something I'd never really took to, and especially trying to play golf games. I've tried a few times over the years, and yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not big into golf games either, but yeah, mostly I don't like strategy games. And you made a good point about the car games. Like they're not fun either anymore either. I agree with you on that too. They're not like they used to be. The last fun car game that I played was Need for Speed Pursuit. And that was it.
Yeah.
That was actually fun, but other than that, no.
Yeah, and it's funny too because you can customize stuff more than ever and all that. But again, like you said, it goes back to the pain. Yeah, you can customize it, but that's just so you can pay for it. Oh, and I have to give an honorable mention too. I can't believe this game didn't come up, but the GTA series,
Grand Theft Auto?
Grand Theft Auto. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
back in the day, I used to play those. I haven't really played in a long time.
well, they're supposed to be
But
coming out with that new one next year or 2025, I think.
they always
Yeah, so next year.
it's
Yeah.
always next year for Grand Theft Auto 6. So
Well, at least you finally got a trailer for it.
right.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that means they actually are working on it.
that's one of those games where you just goof around with it. You're not. I mean,
Yeah.
the story mode in the old ones. I haven't really played. I haven't played GTA 5 in a really long time. I have it. I got it. Around the time it came out. Which is a really long time ago now. And I think I maybe played halfway through the story mode. I didn't finish it. It wasn't bad. It's just I don't know. Wasn't too interested in it anymore.
Right.
It's fun. One of those fun games where you can just mess around with it. But if I jumped in there now, from the videos I've seen, I would have no idea what's going on. It's like a cartoon now.
True.
But are there any other games that we haven't mentioned that you like, or because I'm surprised GTA didn't come up? But yeah, I remember playing the original Grand Theft Auto back in the day too.
Well, I didn't play GTA very much, to be honest. So that's why. Yeah. I'm not saying that I wouldn't play it. I just never have played it that much. So I know a lot of people say 5 is really good. I just never played it. So because just like you said, I hardly have any time to play any games.
Right. Yeah. There's another game, Gigabash, I play on the Switch. It's pretty fun. It's on multiple consoles too, but the thing I like about, I don't know if you're familiar with it at all, but what it is, it's basically a monster fighting game, and it has Godzilla in it.
Oh, okay.
Godzilla is my favorite monster character of all time, so since it has that in there, I usually get Godzilla or the mecha robot Godzilla.
Nice.
And then terrorize my kids with that. So but that's pretty fun.
That's good.
Trying to think. Yeah, I think that's. I'm sure afterwards I'm gonna be. Oh yeah, there's another game that I used to play a lot, but I mean, I used to play, like I said, the live series a lot, the Madden series back in the day. Street Fighter, of course, and Mortal Kombat.
Another game that's really good is Devil May Cry.
Yeah, I remember playing the original one. I played the first two.
Series.
I think I played the first two. I don't think I played after that. Yeah, that was good. Oh, and Resident Evil was pretty good too.
Yeah, that you can't leave out Resident Evil. That's always been a good series.
That was the first like kind of creepy game I can remember when the first one came out. Because I remember a friend of mine told me, they're like, yeah, because of course back then the graphics are like, wow.
Yeah, on the original
but my friend's like, man, what's that?
On the original PlayStation.
Yeah. Because my friend was like, man, I can't play this game in the dark, and I was like, well, what? And then he showed me. I was like, oh yeah, it's pretty creepy for back then.
Sure.
That's the other thing. I mean, you have to remember how much graphics and everything and technology has changed over the years. So the way that games are, we react to the games now and what we expect, it's way different from when we had a lot of the stuff we seen for the first time. Because I remember Mortal Kombat, the fact that it had blood was a huge deal.
Oh yeah,
and
then you could do them.
Fighter, you remember that before that even?
Well, I'm just saying, like, especially when you could do them finishing moves and no one had ever seen that when you're ripping out people's spines. You know what I'm saying? Right. Back in in early 90s, you're like, whoa, this is crazy. Or, you rip the mask off and you burn them and they go to bones. Yeah,
Yeah, that was new and different for sure. And then I remember even before that, some people were kind of weird about arch rivals basketball. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a basketball game where you punch each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually something that was available on Nintendo Switch. So I pulled it up just out of curiosity. I tried to play it, and my kids weren't having it. They're like, "What is this?" So
that's funny.
They're all about Kirby. If they had a favorite video game character right now, Pac-Man and Kirby. Those are probably the two that they would go with, which is funny because I definitely remember playing Pac-Man back in the day. My son, he actually got into Pac-Man because of YouTube videos that he saw, though. So before he even played the game, he saw Pac-Man on YouTube.
Yeah, and that's the way a lot of people now see games before they play them from the YouTube.
Yeah, that's how he found out about Mario and Sonic and all that well before he played any of the games.
Right.
So it's that's another thing too. When I had my Genesis, having Sonic, that was the first game that I had on that.
Yeah, and you gotta get the second. Gotta get the rings. It's
right
all about the rings.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a lot of changes, good and bad, but I don't know. I'm curious about the next generation consoles, what's going to come out, and I haven't even looked at VR stuff yet. Virtual reality.
I mean, I have an Oculus Rift, got it for my son, and it's pretty trippy because I played Resident Evil on it, and it scared out of me, man. I'm just being honest.
Right.
Yeah, it was intense. I was impressed with how intense it was. It was crazy. It was,
I gotcha.
Yeah, it was intense. So
yeah, I don't know. My biggest concern, because I haven't really tried out anything like that too much, I have motion sickness.
Oh yeah.
So with the motion sickness, I'm like, I don't know if I'd be able to play, or if I do play, it would be like 10 minutes or what.
Right.
Yeah, I think that pretty much, at least for now, covers kind of some of the gaming, what we do and what we've seen and all that stuff over the years. Anything else you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm all about PlayStation 5. Thank you.
I think we've taken that away from this conversation.
Just saying.
One thing's definitive there, yes.
Yeah, no Xbox for me, okay? PlayStation. Thank you. And no, I'm not sponsored by PlayStation, okay?
Right. That was the next question.
But yeah. So is that it? Is that a wrap, son? And as always, go Cowboys.
Suck it, Cowboys.
All right.
That's all for now. If you want some more, you gotta buy yourself a ticket. Buy it. From Hoods to Backwoods.